I turned on my computer to do some work and then forgot what I was going to work on, so now I'm going to commentate a Netrunner video. This is round 6, the final round of Swiss of the regionals in San Rafael, so almost done with these. I also recorded quite a few videos from the top 16, so those will be going up after this round. I'm playing on the left as Tenon, and Tristan is playing on the right as Andromeda. And Tristan plays a lot of local tournaments, a very good player. I think he might have won a plugged-in tour? It was a plugged-in tour championship. I remember there was some somewhat big tournament like that he won. So I have a pretty good hand here. I think I put the Grim down on R&D. I have a successful demo early. So I didn't see what that other ice was, but hopefully it's some nice, cheap, and the run ice. Alright, so this is a great start for Andromeda. Sure Gamble, Desperado, Dirty Laundry on Archives, I assume. And so building up a lot of money, getting the board state set up, and the Dirty Laundry turned off my Tenon ability for this round. So Andromeda doesn't always want to run the first round if, you know, Andromeda wants to clear her hand of cards. But that's what's so great about Dirty Laundry is it lets you do both. So it's a great card just to keep your tempo throughout the game as you're making runs and making those runs cheap or pay for themselves. And in the early game, it's great for Andromeda to just trigger a Dirty Laundry, you know, shut down Tenon's ability, get some successful runs. And that one right there was like another sure gamble because of the Desperado. And getting an early Mimic down, which will definitely give me problems. So I draw into a Chum. That might be good. If that was a Grim in R&D, that would be a good thing to put above that Grim. But I decide to protect HQ a bit more. And that is a Caprice going down on HQ. So defense against a Siphon. And I definitely want an early face check run here. And that was a somewhat risky run. He could have run into a Grim there. I thought that was a Grim. But that was even better for me. So Quandary will just keep him out of R&D. He may not even make an Archives run. He might. I mean, with Desperado, it's probably worth it to make an Archives run at this point, just to shut off the Tenon ability. And, you know, you still get a credit for it. So, I didn't quite see, either I forgot the Tenon token or he did in fact do that, I didn't notice. So I successful demo, I draw a card hoping to possibly get another successful demo. And instead just defend up R&D a bit more. You don't want in, so he got the Gordian Blade down, you don't want him indexing right now. You at least want to make the indexing a lot more expensive. So that's the trouble with dropping breakers down on your last click or at the end of your turn before you utilize them, is you kind of lose some of that surprise. But at the same time, you could kind of use that to your advantage. Like if he was really more focused on an HQ attack, then he, you know, got me to install an ice over R&D rather than maybe that ice could have gone over HQ instead. So in some cases, you install a breaker last click just to telegraph something that you're not actually intending to do. So I draw into a Mitsubaku. Pretty good piece of ice. I've always been a little bit down on Mitsubaku, just not thinking it was a great card. You know, 2 for barrier. You know, Ice Wall is basically the same thing, but cheaper. But the ability to recall Baku I used a lot during this tournament. People would parasite it a lot, and I'd just be able to bring it back. Or, you know, it's really good, especially for the early game. Get some unsuccessful runs. I called this deck unsuccessful as well. It wasn't too successful for me at this tournament, so that's probably fitting. And I don't know what I'm. So okay, I didn't install the Baku. What's going on? I usually don't even create remotes with this deck because they're liable against things like security testing and bank job and things like that. But he gets into R&D. I wasn't willing to res whatever ice was in front of it. Oh boy. So he gets his Corroder out and he's going into the remote. And yeah, that was definitely an agenda. So that must have been an Ice Wall. would be my guess on the remote. Sorry, I didn't catch what ice that was. But I was probably just hoping that, you know, I didn't have any tenon tokens, no Trick of Light, so I was like trying to just leverage the early game, maybe get lucky. Maybe he wouldn't be able to get his Corroder in time, and he definitely had it, so that did not work out. I will sometimes take that risk in this deck. Even in a fast advanced deck, I think you can't be blind to possible scoring windows. Like if you could score something out early without using your fast advanced tricks, you should do that. So the turn was just take 2 credits and install ice over R&D for whatever. Oh, you know, yeah, okay, so that makes sense. I probably have a Grim over that Quandary is my guess. I didn't want to res it because I really want to trash the program. So I put the Swordsman over R&D. So if he runs R&D, then I can res the Swordsman, and he might use the Fairy on that. Alright, so puts down a new Angelus. He also Dirty Laundry to Archive, so shutting out my ability again. Drawing some cards, so I get a Clone Retirement. I'm probably going to want to score that next turn. I just take some credits. Take 8 credit, I think. And so now I have NAPD, Clone Retirement, Brain Trust in hand, as well as a Shikyu and a Baku. So I really need to get the pipeline moving. Need to, so I did put a Shock down in Archives, because he keeps making that Archive run just to turn off the Tenon ability, and I really need that Tenon ability to trigger. So he goes into Archives again. I was lucky enough to have 2 Shocks in there. So he will not, he probably won't go into Archives again until he gets Data Suckers, something like that. Oh, and I hit a Siphon and an Inside Job, so both pretty solid. Not too worried about that Inside Job as much, but definitely happy to get the Siphon. And that new Angelus trashes when the runner steals an agenda, I believe. So I'm going to have to remember about that. Although, there's nothing in my deck that gives tags that I could think of. So it's only if he has some kind of tricks with like the activist support type stuff. Activist support blackmail. Probably not, though. That was a bit of a combo that when Blackmail first came out, people were doing. Played against a few decks like that, and it was always weird playing those games. But it didn't catch on too much. I don't think it was too viable, too much of a combo. So he's running on R&D, and I'm deciding if I want to res that sword. Why wouldn't I res the Swordsman? I'm not sure. If this is a Grim, resing the Swordsman would have been at least a good thing to try. No, and that's unfortunate because I just scored out that Clone Retirement. So he's definitely using the Grim. That will protect R&D for future runs at least. And he gets in, so he just sees the Eli. Katie Jones taking those eBay shipments, bringing in the money. I like to think of Katie Jones as the future of the Amazon drones that they keep talking about. Alright, so I really need some tokens. I need to score out agendas. This is a big problem. So I'm going to put the Shikyu in Archives. That makes sense. Luckily, my HQ has not been affected too much yet. I really need some more. I need a lot of things at this point to win this game. I need some Tenon tokens. I need some Trick of Lights. I need some Econ. Those things at minimum will give me the ability to win this game. And Tristan is definitely building up here. So what I would expect is probably a Fem coming up on that Grim. That's a pretty popular play. So that is the first Tenon token of the game. I usually put the Tenon token, either the Ice Wall will be my primary target, and then my secondary target is usually just some high strength ice. So I'd put it on like that Grim. I wouldn't put it on the Quandary. I'd avoid putting it on the Quandary. Alright, so first click I draw up. So I get a Caprice for the mandatory and I draw a successful demo. So I'm going to be looking to trigger that somehow. And it doesn't look like we'll have an R&D run at least this next turn. Yeah, I don't think he really has the credits. You know, there's a big stack of money on Katie Jones there, so maybe he does. If he has the Fem or Special Order, he could go get the Fem. And then he gets back into R&D, which seems to be his focus right now. Which is somewhat lucky for me, because I have agendas in hand, and I want to protect them. So that Caprice probably is demotivating those HQ runs. Although when he had the Fairy, I think it could have been a good idea to run in there. But using the Fairy on the Grim is also certainly good. I really don't like having this bad pub in this matchup. Andromeda is so good at making runs cheap, and anything you can do to you know, any bad pub you give her is just gonna fuel that fire even more. Some runners, it's, you know, like if you see a big rig shaper, it's probably not as bad to give them a bad pub, because they're probably set up to make like one big run every turn or two, rather than Andromeda or Gabe will try and make like 2 runs a turn, so they're going to utilize that bad pub a lot more. So he does go get the Fem. And it looks like he has probably 9 credits on Katie Jones alone, so he could get that out. And that is indeed what is happening. So click 3, Katie Jones. Click 3, Katie Jones. Click 3, install Fem. Click 2, Katie Jones. And it is, yeah, going on the Grim. I may have, I wish I was that good of a commentator or predictor or whatever, but I may have remembered that from this game. It's also just a really good play. Like, that's a good use of a Fem. So I'm lucky that, so we haven't seen any data suckers yet, and that's really good because he's made a lot of early runs and starting to slow down a bit. So no data suckers is helping me a ton. And you know, I don't know if his deck has it, but security testing was a very popular card, and we haven't seen any of that either. Ah, so there's looks like an agenda in that remote.
Second click, install here for 2 money.
Oh, you know, I bet that's the Caprice in that remote. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Hold on. Pick 1, I'll draw. Pick 2, I'll draw.
So yeah, playing the hedge fund, then I had just right enough money, so I think I was trying to bait him into that remote just to be able to trigger the successful demo. So I rezzed a Caprice, and he sees a remote with just a Caprice. He's probably going to bid 0. So I could bid 1 or 2 pretty reliably, trigger this successful demo. So R&D run going in. And okay, so that will, he lets that bounce him out. And yeah, so he couldn't afford to get through. He would cost him 4 to get through the Eli alone, and then 1 for the Grim, then he wouldn't have enough to get through. So he made the right choice. It does work out in my favor with the successful demo. And I am building up those tenon tokens. So now I just need one of those Trick-o-Lights. This deck is very hard to play when you don't draw any of your Trick-o-Lights, like, by this point of the game. It does have 3 archive memories, so as long as you draw 1 Trick-o-Light, you could usually get another.
Third click, I'll play successful demo.
Alright, so that turn was successful demo, draw a card, successful demo, and I'm up to 15. So I shouldn't have to worry about economy for a while now. That might be enough just to let me finish out the game if I can get those Trick-o-Lights and last long enough before he takes all my agendas. This deck is able to run pretty light on econ and still function. And the spending pattern of this deck is a lot of like res a Grim, go down to 2 credits, keep the runner out, and then successful demo back up. So it's very like the what am I trying to say? It's very if you think of it like a wave, the spinning pattern, it's very up and down. Compared to most corp decks, you're probably just like steady going up, or like trying to level out at a certain, like level out at 10 credits or something. So I put an ice wall over archives. I think I'm just trying to demotivate data suckers later, and well, I also want to get that down just as a bank to put advancement tokens. It's not really worth putting over any of the other servers right now, just the install cost is too prohibitive for the benefit I'd get. So put it over archives, it'll serve a little bit of benefit in defending archives, and I could click there to advance. So we got Masanori. He is running on R&D, spending some money, and drawing a card to Masanori, Desperado, so the so he gets the medical research. So that of all agendas for him to be able to steal, that one is the one I'm most okay with. That and NAPD are both in a deck, and taking any of those is fine. That was great. So I drew a Trick of Light, and I have a second medical breakthrough in my hand, so I'm definitely going to prioritize that to score out. I think I also have a Brain Trust in hand, but scoring the medical breakthrough is a bigger priority, because if I draw that third breakthrough, I can just score it right out of hand. And I don't think I was able to score the third medical breakthrough out of hand in any of these games. It does occasionally happen. It's nice when it does. I really like medical breakthrough as an agenda. I think the potential to score 2 points out of hand like that is probably worth it. So that was just another R&D run. I think he's spending his clicks on the Eli, and then he spends like a net of 1 credit. And gets to draw a card with Masanori, so that's probably worthwhile to do. Ooh, okay, so I drew a card, lucky because it's the Philotic. Well, that is interesting. So, I think I have 2... Okay, I was worried about that. I was like, that is the play, do that. I didn't realize I had another click left. But yeah, so I definitely go get the Trick of Light. And with that much money, I think an HQ run could be worthwhile. Like, I've clearly telegraphed that I probably have an agenda in hand. Fumbling around with these cards here. I think I'm just looking at... So Data Sucker finally going down. So we got an HQ run on click 3. And it looks like he's just gonna break the chum probably. He probably, well, I don't know, it could be worth it. If that's a sentry behind the chum, it'd probably be cheaper just to break it. With Fem there. So he is breaking, and I think deciding not to res the ice behind it. And oh yeah, I'm just resing that Caprice just to make sure I'm doing it at the right time. And it is just an ice wall, but it is a 3 strength ice wall, so that is a wall of static right there basically. Doing the trace game, I'm guessing I spend 2 here. So yeah, I spent 2, he spent 1, so he is kept out. And that server's now expensive enough where he's not going to want to keep doing that. And so he takes attack from Masanori as well. I think I remind him of... Yeah, so I remind him of that before he clicks to take a card. So I think because this might be his last click, so he might want to clear the tag instead, which he's... definitely doing. So I'm glad I remembered that before he was click to draw a card. And I'm probably going to score that Philotic out of hand because I'm low on money. I just need the points. And Philotic has a nice benefit of doing 2 net damage at this point. So I'll take that. Ooh, that ice wall needs to have tokens taken off. I hope we don't forget that. Okay, good. I'm super worried about it. God, I hate making mistakes like that, and then, like, if I end up winning the game and I made mistakes and I see that in the video, I just feel so bad. Something I don't do currently, but I'm gonna start doing is I don't count influence well enough. Like, I'll sometimes ask to see their heap or their archives to count influence, but you know, most good players will just count it as the game is going, and I don't do that. So it's starting today. We have a tournament today in Berkeley. I'm gonna be doing that. See if I could keep track of that. Doesn't seem like it should be so hard to do. Curious if anybody watching the video does that. If you think it's worthwhile. Seems like it would be. Seems like you'd be able to figure out quicker. It's less likely they have Scorched Earth in this deck. Alright, so R&D, run this R&D server is pretty ridiculous. And so I'm in a pretty decent position. At this point there's still... Do I have a Brain Trust in hand? I don't know where that Brain Trust went. So he just sees a Snowflake. Yeah, I have a Brain Trust in hand, so all I need is a Trickle Light and Archive Memory. I need to advance the Ice Wall, and then I need a Trickle Light Archive Memory, and this game is done. And these runs are definitely starting to get expensive. So he is running on HQ. And it'd be A-okay if he saw the NAPD. Oh, that was a mistake. So he took the Data Sucker before the Caprice. I spent 1, he spent 0. Yeah, so he got a Data Sucker out of that. That is it's a subtlety of Caprices. She ends the run before success. But I get the Tenon token. So I have... all the... oh, was that right? I don't know if I was supposed to get a 10 token that turn. I think he got into R&D. I think he did. Okay, so I guess he got a Data Sucker and I got a 10 token, so... I don't know if that's an even exchange, but it happened, so... And so I have the win in hand. He needs to get into HQ, and I'm definitely willing to spend on that Caprice. So he's spending 3 clicks to get into R&D. And just sees Jackson Howard. So if he saw an agenda there, and he ran HQ and got into HQ, he could have just won this game. But at this point, the best he could do is get into HQ and steal the Brain Trust. Then that definitely keeps him in the game. That puts us at match point, and yeah, evens things out, especially since he's getting into R&D pretty much every turn now. So going into HQ, and at this point I probably spend 2, because all I need is 2 to win the game. So might as well spend 2, and that has a bigger chance of keeping him out here, I think. I think he's going to be looking at my credit pool and thinking he's not wanting to spend these credits. Caprice is so good. So that finishes out the game. That was his last click. And I'll be scoring out this Brain Trust. So that was definitely a fight. But that's more how the deck is supposed to work. Definitely not easy to pull off. Especially against a player like Tristan, who's, you know, just a very solid player, bringing a very solid deck. And I think I got lucky there that there was no Data Sucker early, and I had some good ice early to keep him out and build up those tokens. So you know, you can make things work out. All right. So that is one more game here in Swiss, and then we move on to the top 16. So we'll get that going soon. Thanks